When working with template items within PlanSwift, whether with parts or assemblies, you typically clarify details and dimensions within the item's form. The form lets you quickly enter the most relevant information without navigating through every property within the Advanced Properties window whenever you use the item on a project. What happens, though, if you find that you must constantly go within the Advanced Properties window to enter a specific detail or dimension for an item because it isn't on the form? The good news is that the form view is editable, so you can easily make the properties you use most often for a specific item display within its form. To edit a template item in your system, go to the Templates tab at the top of the screen. Then navigate the tabs in the Templates window to find the item you want to edit. Select the item, and then click the Properties button within the ribbon at the top of the screen. You first see the item's form when reviewing the template item's properties. To see the item's advanced properties, which are essentially all the properties that go into making up the item, simply click the Advanced button at the bottom of the form. Now you can see all the item's properties. The properties depend on the type of item or part you're viewing. For example, different properties fields typically display when you select a material part versus when you select a labor part. All that to say, there's potentially a lot of information to parse through here. For this reason, the form is valuable because it allows you to display only critical properties to correctly calculate this item. When reviewing the advanced properties, if there's a field that you want to display in the item's form, use the checkbox located on the far right column of the row for that property. If you select the checkbox for a property, that field will then display on the form. If you deselect the checkbox, it doesn't show on the form. Simple as that. Now just go down the list and select any property relevant to setting up this item when you use it. After you've finished indicating which fields you want to display on your form, the next step is to organize how those fields actually display on the form. To do this, select the Form Layout button at the top of the Advanced Properties window. A new pop-up window then displays. All the fields you selected to show on the form display in the section on the left, along with a few settings options, while the section on the right is a preview of how your form will display with the settings indicated on the left. So speaking of those settings, what do they actually control? Well, let's start with the up and down arrows at the top. If you select one of the fields, you can then use the up or down arrow to move it up or down in the list and change the order in which it displays on the form. Next to the fields themselves are three columns: Show Units, Same Row, and Form Tab. So let's take a moment to discuss what these fields do, starting with Show Units. This field is useful for fields that are used to add dimensions to an item. When adding height or width to an item, for example, you could select this checkbox to add a drop-down field, which would allow you to then indicate if you want to add that dimension in feet, inches, yards, or metric units. If you select the checkbox for Same Row, this field gets moved up to the same row on the form as the field directly above it in the list. Just be mindful not to put too many fields together in the same row, as it potentially makes the form more cluttered and more difficult to find the fields you're looking for. The Form tab allows you to create a tabbed layout in your form and add different fields to different tabs. This could be useful for an item like an assembly that has multiple parts associated with it. You could then use tabs to separate property fields for the different parts, for example. Once you've set up the form to look the way you want, press the OK button at the bottom of the window. Then, press the OK button on the Properties window to apply the changes you've made to the item. Now, if you navigate back to the Home tab and attempt to add this item to your project, the changes you made to the form now display. Editing an item's form can potentially save a lot of time when setting up templates for takeoffs and estimates by eliminating the need to wade through the advanced properties for every item every time you use them.
Before you build, construct Connect.